Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Red Room. So today we are here again to talk to you about the Wretchdverse. This week we released, we released the Wretchdverse. That is a guide to the Wretchdverse.
The Wretchdverse, yes, but
That is a guide to the
yours,
Wretchdverse. Yes.
your issue 21, I think, of the Wretchdverse, which is the guide to the Wretchdverse. So what does this mean? Well, probably the best thing is to share the screen and show the actual thing. So, of course, the cover is the usual thing. So this is um,
Free.
a free, yeah, it's a free digital.
Oh, how many pages? 62 pages.
Yeah, most of it is free. No, at least half of it. Um, this is a free Wretchdverse that contains an introduction to the rules. Well, basically, it's just a summarized version of the rules. This is just this is an introduction to the thing, and then you start here with the character creation process. So the steps for the character creation process are here. Let's summarize. Choosing sins and virtues. Now, notice that the virtues are here. So
Hmm.
I've already faced the truth, and it's not just sins, it's sins and virtues, and then you choose one of the versions. You can choose one sin, you can choose one virtue, or you can choose both. And then, of course, there's not much information about that because the sins are the seven sins, the virtues the same thing. So then you have here some information about the background, so the origin and the life path. Of course, they aren't represented here because they depend on the game, and that would be hard to summarize. So the rest of the way, so the different ways of creating characters, so the cannon fodder mode, the safety net mode, and the veteran mode. Bonus and penalties from attributes for the different types, so cannon fodder and veteran, just and safety net different. That's the bonus are big. Some information about the attributes, the names of them, the species and races that are available, the occupations, that's an example. Then you have small thing about skills, the skill list, the perk list, the drawback list, the rules of acquisition, the way we use to determine how you can buy, which is a rule with a target number, and there are bonuses from the character's origin, depending if, so for example, an elite is as a +3 and the destitute as a
Destitute had
-3.
yeah.
This is a rule that was introduced later, weren't there, but it's in the book already. The ways to earn experience points, they are mentioned here. These are the ones for the most wretched characters. These were for virtuous characters. This is another
Wanted
thing.
level.
With the level, then comes the optional rules, the wretched pool and the rush and wild dice and the exploding damage dice, and the latest one that was introduced, wretched man of action. Now there's a small summarized version of the combat mechanics where you have how the order of combat works, and then how each of the steps in the combat works, like surprise initiative, movement, attack phases. You have a small description of the special combat action, critical hits, and locations. Dueling is not mentioned too detailed, and then there's a small version as well of the vehicle combat. Um, how you can heal a character, and all the other kinds of ways you can be hurt. Just a small introduction to carousing. Some information about the beyond, just a paragraph. How you deal with your effects from supernatural and natural stuff. Then a very small introduction to psychic talents and magic rituals.
And then the
And
settings.
on page 37, the settings begin. So you have about what, 1 to 2 pages for each of the settings. I'm not going to talk about this because, well, if you want, you can just read it. I mentioned even the smaller settings like orbital decay is here as well,
And red conspiracies.
and red
Because I saw
conspiracy.
alien there. Yes.
Yes, it's on. Apocalypse is here as well. Apocalypse is going to be having a second edition soon, and there's also some thoughts about the Wretchdverse. And the other things, basically,
Mm-hmm.
the most important things are, or at least the bigger books are mentioned because in this step here, almost everything else is
Mm-hmm.
scenarios, and this is about us and other people that are connected to the Red Room, and these are all our links here on a more readable version than this. It's really not
So
too.
I would say share it with your friends, get them to
Yeah.
know the wretched verse.
So if I mean it can be used even if you have
No, but I
uh,
think it can be used to play to make it easier sometimes when you're looking for certain things.
yeah, for yes, even for us to look for a specific rule because most of the rules, the important ones that you keep using, they are there. So um, I think it's a good summary of the rules that can be used by anybody, even if you have the game. If you don't have the game, well, it's free, so you can
Mm-hmm.
just browse it and find something there that might interest you or not. I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, the descriptions of the settings are
Mm-hmm.
just small introduction, and it doesn't explain a lot about it. But if you want to know a little bit more, I think looking at the site, it's probably a better way to do it. You can check the scenarios and the wretched versions that were made, and you'll probably get more information from there. But this gives you an idea that, uh, namely, that it's, even though there are different games, they can be connected,
Mm-hmm.
and there are some things that
Some are
are
easier to connect than others, of course, but
yeah, obviously some are very easy to connect. So I would say like Epoch and Interbellum
mm-hmm. In country.
and Country, yeah. So those three are pretty much well, Epoch and the Country are in the same period.
Mm-hmm.
Interbellum is right after, so they are basically the same thing. Orbital decay can connect to conspiracies. It can connect
Mm-hmm.
to New Flash. That was
It can
that.
also connect with
And
space.
yes, it can be if you want to place. Of course, the background part
Mm-hmm.
you should probably ignore it because it's not really meant for a space opera. But the rules and some of the details there can be used for a and the plot hooks as well. But it doesn't connect that well to the others, which is fine. Just
Yes.
opera and Bastard is better.
Well, yes, it's the same, but
But
they
you
can
can
be
always
connected to the beyond, and you connect space with
yeah
bastards because they both
connecting.
have additions.
That's true. Connecting space and bastards is probably the easiest thing for these two. So they are probably,
I still need
even
to write
though,
bastards in
yeah,
space one day.
yeah,
It's in
but
the list.
even if you don't write it, the truth is they are the epic ones. They are the most
Mm-hmm.
epic. Not fully epic, but they are the most epic ones. But there's also vigilantes which can connect darkness
Yes, with darkness.
and um, and the conspiracies
Mm-hmm.
and
Well, you could even
agent Wretch
yes, I would say that that
and
also
Black.
needs a second version. You didn't
Yeah,
have a second version of Agents of
not
Wretch
yet.
yet,
No,
right?
no. Yeah,
No, but I was thinking that even well, you could connect vigilantes with country or epoch. You just put the vigilantes, the supers
yeah,
in a different era.
yeah.
Oh,
In
figure
that
out they're
case.
already supers
Could
at
be,
that
yeah.
time.
The concept, yeah, you can just take it elsewhere, yeah, into another period. Yeah, that's true. You can just come up with another project, perhaps in in a
Hmm.
different timeline.
Yes, well, it'll be different, interesting in epoch
It could
with
be
all that weird
something like steampunk,
science.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah, could be
steampunk
some,
superheroes.
yeah, could be something like that. So that's an interesting idea.
I need to give that idea to Strossi.
Yeah, you
Maybe
can have
you will like it.
maybe you can do something else. Perhaps one book for different ideas
Hmm.
for different periods. So who knows? Um, so I'm lost now. What I was talking about?
You're talking about connecting the settings.
Yeah. So but there are, and it's easier because there are some references that are already there. So the factions, they aren't always the same, but some of them are uh, in all the settings, I think, and most of them are in more than one. Um, and also the Beyond, of course. And since the rules started uh, being just one set of rules for
Mm-hmm.
all, the rules are the same, the magic works the same, psychic powers work the same almost. There are some variants. In Wretched Bastard, there's a style of magic
Yes,
that
folding.
is folding. Yeah, that the folding is in space. Also in space, there's the psychic powers that are slightly different, which are the variant used by the Sidonia.
Macedonia. Yeah.
You can use it elsewhere as well. But that's it. Most of the rules are the same for all the games, even though each of the games introduces some specific rule. For let's say, for example, forensics in Vice and
Mm-hmm.
other investigation rules in Vice. Wear and Tear came from Marvel to Decay. The expanded fear rules Feared in Darkness. Vigilantes has a different set of perks and drawbacks, which are
Super
the
perks.
super perks and the super drawbacks. Um,
But staying out to that, you were also working on a
yeah,
companion for the new rules.
yes. So all those rules will be compiled in a rules companion that is going to be released. I'm not sure when because this one will have human art. Uh, I've talked to Tanaka to do the cover, and someone whose real name I don't know. I haven't asked him his real name yet, but he's Uncle Chris.
Is he on Twitter also?
I'm not sure.
I know he's in our Discord.
Perhaps he is, but I just know him from Discord, and in
Mm-hmm.
Discord he is called Uncle Chris. Uncle Chris is he lives in the Philippines, I think, and he does some comic book style art, and he was recommended by Jeremy Hart, who is going to illustrate our anthology of
Bestiary.
yeah our bestiary anthology, which will be released in a unknown date,
One
featuring
day.
all
Next year. For
next year.
2024. It makes sense. Project for next year.
Yeah, I'm still waiting if maybe Michael Strauss will do some more bits and probably they will be included. So just wait for that. So it will be an anthology of all those, but I'll have to edit it. So they will not be because they were done through 3 4 months. So there are some little differences here and there, and we'll have to edit in the ending. So the idea for this is to have a nice book that will be purchased probably more in physical format
Mm-hmm.
than digital because if people want to digitally unless you haven't bought any of the wretched versions and then you can just buy it in the end obviously it will be cheaper if you buy the
Mm-hmm.
anthology then instead of buying the wretched versions, but if you are not interested in having all the pieces you can just purchase the specific entries, but it could be I think it will be an item that other people that aren't really interested in Ratchet might be interested in because the rules are
Mm-hmm.
basically the
And people like
same as our Star Games. Yeah,
bestiaries and monster
I think so. Yeah.
collections.
So that's why I decided to have some human illustrations there to have a different appeal. So people will buy it not just as a tool for Ratchet, but as a book, another bestiary that might be used for any other game. Just calling it the Wretched Bestiary doesn't make
Mm-hmm.
it a specific Wretched book because well, it could be just the name of a bestiary. So that's it. These are well, we're talking about the plans already.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the next thing I've already
Spoiled
published
it.
something. Yeah, there's a spoiler. I'd like to show the spoiler. Okay, I'll have to look for it, but this is not done yet. It's still well, there's a cover, and I'm working on the interior still in Word format. So
You can just show the cover.
yes, I'm going to show the cover, but I have to open it. Okay, not funny.
You lost the book. I'm
No, no.
making fun of you.
So this is the cover, and we can talk about a little bit about this. Um, I'm going to show also I'm going to show the other cover as well. The cover of the original thing. One of them, of course. There are many. So this is Reporter X was a real magazine. This is the first issue from 1928, I think. That, that's it here, probably.
How many years
Well,
did it last? It
it lasted. Check that.
a long time, right?
No, no, no,
No.
no.
Oh,
3 years only.
oh, okay.
But it was weekly, I think. So yeah, it's a weekly magazine. It was weekly, so there are about what uh, 130 or some or more number of issues. So what was this? Okay, this was supposed to be weekly magazine like any other weekly magazine, like Time or whatever, in a small, a very, a much smaller scale. But
Mhm.
in reality, this is more like those French magazines that started in the late 1800s, so in 1890, 1980, about crime magazines.
Mhm. That's what I was thinking. That it makes me. It
Yeah,
reminds me of that we saw the Petit
yeah,
Journal.
it's more like that. But they wanted the idea is that this is a serious thing, but in truth, it's something like that. But then the themes here are completely different. Some of them are crimes, but others not really. So, for example, they start with I think it's an post interview to Arthur Conan Doyle, uh, or at least it might be not an, well, I'm not sure if it's an interview, but it says that he met him or something. I don't think he has, but so this is now we're going to explain who is the person behind it. So this is Reporter X is the name of the magazine, but it was also the literary name of the author, the director of this magazine. We was called that he had so his real name was Reinaldo Ferreira, but people knew
Did he
him.
had more people writing in the magazine or just him?
Yeah,
Because he
yeah,
wrote a lot,
yeah.
right?
He wrote a lot, and most of this was written by him. But some of the articles are by someone else, and maybe perhaps some of the names here were created and they are false. Maybe, but yeah, but there are at least one more. There is at least one more person working here. So the guy was known as Reporter X because there was some mistake he made, and something was published by him as Reporter X, and then he started using that name, which is a very good name
Mhm.
indeed. It was a mistake, but it was a very nice mistake. Um, and the guy was he was very creative and original, and he took that creativity to journalism. So he came up with stories that never happened. He came up with interviews he never made. He wrote from places he was never in. Uh, so he did fake news, but unlike current day fake news, his ones were interesting and creative
Entertaining.
and entertaining. Yeah, he was also a writer, so he wrote thrillers and I think erotic stuff as well, poetry. He had a son was a poet, uh, so the guy was he had an interesting life story. He was also addicted to heroin and wrote a book about that. Um, yeah, he also directed, or yeah, he directed the movie as well in the 30s. So he had lot of experience in creative stuff. But this magazine was supposed to be a real magazine. It was supposed to, of course, even at the time, people knew it was because some of the things that he wrote about were um, like
Too far fetched to take.
yeah, they sound some of these stories sound like conspiracy theories, but they weren't really conspiracy theories because you just came up with them. Like there's one about German spies in Portugal, which is there were German spies in Portugal, but not in the World War One. And so in the Second World War, Lisbon was like a nest of spies,
Mhm.
and there were many. So the what's the name of the guy who created James Bond?
Ian Fleming.
Ian Fleming. He was here, so he probably
Yeah, because it was one of the places that people could enter into
yeah, it was
Europe,
right.
and it was not
It was not
it
involved,
was involved in the war.
but in World War One, apparently no one cared.
Mhm.
Uh, but then he was thinking, well, why not come up with a story about spies in Lisbon? And we wrote an article about that, and it's one of the plot hooks in this my my version of the thing is
So basically, that is the idea that you're just using to explain to some of the
yeah.
stories that he wrote and transforming them into plot
So
hooks for Interbellum.
I picked up one of those several of those articles, the ones that could be adapted. Most of them are stories in Portugal about crimes and whatever, and politics as well. Those are probably fake, but I don't care. They aren't that useful. Uh, but then there are some that are international stuff, and or that can be uh, adapted to that. So I'm going to translated them already and changed a few things. So they aren't the exact articles published in the magazine. They are even more creative than
Mhm.
well, perhaps not more creative, but far-fetched, more far-fetched than the original. And then if each of the story gives you some background, and then there's a plot hook which is more related to a role-playing game. Even though the story itself can be used as a plot hook, but then there are some characters that aren't even mentioned, and in most cases they aren't even mentioned in the article. Some events that can be related and stuff that you can introduce as a story. And this is for Interbellum, of course. And
Mhm.
most of the plot books are in the 20s or in the early 30s. That's the time where the magazine was published. And that's it. And I'm going to not I haven't done a lot yet, but I'm going to use a style that is kind
Are
of
you
similar.
you still showing Reporter X? I don't know if you're trying to share something else.
Oh yeah, I'm still sure. Okay, so I didn't remember if it was okay. So did I show the cover yet?
Yes, you had shown the cover. Yes,
Okay, so I'm going to use a style that is similar to both Epoch and
Interbellum.
Interbellum, but this is just the beginning. Then well, this is the guy, unfortunately. When we get into the stuff itself, but unfortunately, I'm going to use a more like a thing.
Hmm.
There will be some
That's gonna be fun. It's gonna give you more work.
yeah, this will take a little bit more of my time, and I will. So I'm going to post to paste here pictures of obviously they won't be pictures. They will be AI photorealistic images. Uh, in this case, probably they don't even have to be high quality because they aren't supposed to be like high quality. They are supposed to look like old pictures in an old news magazine. So that's the next thing. It will probably take a few days to do this. The first part is almost done, so, but I'll take probably 3 4 days to do the layout to make it look a little bit
Hmm.
like the original. It's not really good looking. It's not really trying to
But
make
it's
it look good.
interesting.
To
Yes,
make it look like a
yes.
publication at the time. They didn't try to do very nice layout. It's always a bit confusing. I'm not going to do it exactly like the original because it will look a little bit close enough so it can be readable for a role playing game. And if people like this style of stuff, I can do more in the future or issues of
Mhm.
Rex.
Well,
It's
I was
like,
thinking that some of the murder, with the murders, could also be used. Remember that we have spoken about
yeah,
doing something for Epoch that will be just like
yes.
things to investigate.
I think it could be done a different thing probably. I could use the stories in anyway, but for Epoch, I
Yes,
think that that style is better for Epoch, and then I will try to recreate the style of Le
Le
de la
Petit,
Police
yeah, or Le
or Le
Petit
Petit Journal.
Journal. I don't know why. Well, that one got because the name
Le
is
de la
cute.
Police is one of those, yeah, but the Petit
I
Journal
think it's because
is
the
another
name
one.
is cute.
Le Petit Journal. Um, but the other one is strictly about murder. So
Mhm.
even
Yeah,
the Petit Journal, yeah, the Petit Journal is probably close to this one because it says more about politics. But I think the Petit Journal was serious enough. The Petit, and it still is because I think it still exists. That one was kind of serious, probably spectacular in a way, like sensationalist
yeah, but not
tabloid,
like the Uprima.
but not, yeah, yes, and not like Reporter X, which
Yes,
was just creative and not real. Um, Even though some of the events are real, he writes about
but
real
then
things,
he
real
makes
people,
he starts
but
to make up things.
he extrapolates or he says that it's
He's
of,
trying to make the news more interesting. Oh, this happened. This is incredibly boring. No, this is not gonna sell.
or just that he was there and he saw something that he didn't. He's just
Hmm.
writing about stuff that he read somewhere else. Oh, there's an interesting story that this guy has. So he was going to cover as a journalist a speech from a guy who you probably know his name, Cidadão Pais,
Hmm.
and he was late, and the guy was shot. The politician was shot. I think he had, I'm not sure if he was the if he was the president at the moment. Uh, he had been before, so I don't. And he just came up with the last words that he had spoken, even though he wasn't there. Um, but his last words are famous. His famous last words, the famous last words of Sidónio Pais, which at least he shouldn't because maybe he could have said those
Maybe
words,
someone,
but
yes, maybe someone told them. No,
just because so the words are I die, but the motherland is safe. So it's too grand. So
yeah,
he probably said, "Fuck, they shot me in the gut," and he died. But not, he created something more interesting, and I think people believe him for a long time. Actually, I think I read the word in
yeah,
a
I think so.
history book,
It's
even
sounding.
though maybe the history book already said that he was that those words weren't real. Uh, but I remember that in history classes. I can't remember if they gave the contact of Reporter X or not. Probably because I have known the name Reporter X for a long time, even before I read the magazine, the magazines themselves. They are a public domain, so someone has released them somewhere. I didn't know about that until a couple of months ago when I was there and just downloaded them and really, and then yeah, those news are much more interesting than actual. That's why he probably sold because of that. I think that's
Yes,
all for.
that's all for now.
Okay, so have a nice weekend.
Bye bye.